Welcome to 360 Degrees Thriving Kids Hub. Here you will find contents that nurture kids to be grounded in their identity, emotionally strong, and full of integrity, ready to impact their world. When a child knows who they are ready to impact the world. Join us on the journey.
Just a sec. So welcome everyone to today's class. So last week we learned about self-awareness, right? And we talked about self-awareness being we knowing ourselves. We know what we enjoy. We know what we like doing, right? We know our strengths, we know our weaknesses, we know our emotions, and then using all of these to shape our decisions, right? We use all of this to shape the choices we make, the people we interact with, the way we do things, right? So, and remember last week we mentioned that when we are self-aware, it has some components, right? Which includes your strength, your weakness, your talents, your gifts, and then it also includes your values, right? And your belief system. So today we will be talking about our values, personal values, because when you are self-aware, it also includes you knowing your values. What are my values, right? And your values will then guide your decision. It's going to shape how you react. It's going to shape your relationships. Okay. So remember our class rules that says we only raise our hands to speak, respect each other's view, we stay focused, and we use I, not we. And okay, before we move on to that, who wants to tell me our values as empowered kids? Can you tell me one of our values? I know we have 5 values. Who wants to tell me our values? Anybody? Welcome, Excellent Joseph. Anybody want to tell me? Okay, Wise David?
Thank you, Ma.
Humble hearts.
Thank you, humble heart. Good job. Okay, Brilliant Champion Israel and Boss Peniel. Okay. Helping Hands. Good job. Thank you. You're on mute. If you want to unmute, go off mute to speak.
Positive attitude.
Good. Positive attitude, helping hands. Good job. Who else want to give us a try? We have 2 more. We have 2 more. We've mentioned positive attitude, humble heart.
Listening ears.
Listening ears. Who just said that? Excellent, Joseph, I believe. Listening ears. Good job. And we have 1 more.
Kind heart. Kind mouth.
Kind mouth. Thank you so much. Who said that? Okay, thank you so much. So we have listening ears, we have positive attitude, we have kind mouth, we have humble heart, and we have helping hands. Okay, Wise David, you have your hands up, and Deborah, you want to say something? Okay, great. So yes, so we have listening ears, which tells us we listen carefully when others speak, we pay attention to what is being said, and then kind mouth, which tells us we say nice words to everyone rather than tearing them down. So this is not just here, but also in school. You apply this in school as well. And then we have positive attitude that tells us we stay happy, we try our best, and we choose to see the good in others, okay, in every situation. And then we have helping hands that tells us that we share, we support, and help others even without being asked. And then humble heart, we are never proud. We don't act proud. As empowered kids, we don't act proud. We learn, we share, and we stay respectful, and we are happy when others succeed. Okay. So our affirmation for today, as we all know, we have our affirmation, right? So our affirmation, I want you to read with me. 1, 2, go.
Today is a new chance to grow. My
brain is a new challenge
to
in the
learn.
world.
And
My
I'm
brain is
ready
a
to
puzzle and
learn.
I'm ready
I
to
will use my heart to learn with my brain.
I'm
I am
evolving to be
evolving
my
to
best.
be my best self. Good job. So you can mute now. Says today is a new chance to grow. Okay. So you have, remember, as Empowered Kids, every day is a chance for us to grow. Every day we seek out opportunities for us to learn new things, for us to make a difference, for us to do what, for us to impact our world, okay? For us to, to be better than yesterday. What we were not good at yesterday, today we can be better at it, okay? And our brain is a muscle. Our brain is a muscle, and we we are ready to learn. We are ready to stretch it. We lead with our heart, we learn with our mind, and we are evolving to be our best self. Okay, so our objectives for today includes, we are here to learn what personal value means, the importance of personal values, how it helps us to make good choices, how we can recognize our values, right? How knowing, like being self-aware. Remember, we talked about self-awareness last week, how this can help us live by our value, and how to identify our personal values. Okay, so now our icebreakers. It says, you are stranded on a deserted island. You can only bring 3 things from this list. So these are the list we have. We have a map, we have a first aid kit, we have a box of gold, we have a puppy, we have a tool set, and we have a smartphone. And the smartphone does not have a signal, okay? What would you go with? I want you to think about it. What are you going to go with? And why did you pick what you pick? Okay? All right. So Wise David is ready to tell us. All right. So tell us.
I would choose a map, a first aid kit, and a box of gold. Number one, because I chose the map so that I can know where to go. I chose a first aid kit just in case I got hurt, and the box of gold just in case somebody comes onto the island too, and they have a ship. I can trade the gold for the ship.
That's beautiful. I love it. And that's great. I love it. So box of gold, a map, and a first aid kit. Okay. Brilliant champion Israel. You want to say something? What are you gonna choose? Oh, you have your hands down. Okay. Flourish Fola. What are you gonna choose? And why?
I'm going to choose a map, a first aid kit, and a tool set.
Okay, can you tell me why?
So first, I would use a map in case I get lost and I don't know my way, and a first aid kit in case I get hurt, and a tool set to build shelter.
Thank you so much for that. Thank you, Flourish Fola. Okay, Brave Tiara. What would you choose and why?
I would choose a map and a first aid kit. And number one, I would choose a map because so I can know where I'm going, and then in case someone gets hurt for a first aid kit.
Thank you. All right. Brilliant champion Israel.
I would choose a map and a first aid kit and a puppy. I would choose a first aid kit just in case I get hurt, and I would choose a puppy if I lost anything because they are like detective, and I will also choose a map to know where I'm going.
That's great. Thank you. Wise David and Princess Deborah, do you have something to share as well? Again?
Deborah wants to
No.
say it this time.
Okay, Deborah.
A puppy, a map, and a box of gold.
Okay, why? Do you want to tell us why? Okay, it's fine. All right. So we've also, okay, Boss Peniel, you want to say something?
I would choose a first date because what about someone gets hurt?
Oh, good. Thank
very
you. A first aid kit. Good job. Thank you, everyone. So you see, so this scenario, right? It just tells us it's not just about survival, it's about you understanding your priorities, right? What are your values in a challenging situation? So it helps you to know what exactly influences your decision. Okay, so just like this scenario, right? We all talked about it, like, okay, what is it I'm gonna go with? Right. So it helps us to understand how our choices, right? It helps us to understand how our value, what we actually value, right? For example, some of you say map. So that means you value clarity, right? Some of you say first aid kit, right? It shows that you value safety, right? So because you have thought of it, for example, a box of gold, Wise David said he's going to trade his box of gold for a ship, right? So he values what? He values wealth, he values safety as well, right? And all of this that we have said, some of us said puppy, right? Just because they're able to help you detect, to probably lead you in the path you should follow, right? So this actually shows us, okay, what are the things that we value, and these things that we value, which will actually do what shape our choices, right? They help us to know, okay, how our choices actually reflect what we value. So that's all about the scenario, right? There is no wrong or right answer, but it's just helping us to understand what is it that I value, and how can what I value really shape how the things that I choose, right? The friends that I choose, I decide to partner with, I decide to work with, right? Thank you. Right. So yeah, so that is it about the scenario. Okay, so just looking at it and say, okay, this is my choice, right? How does that reflect what I truly value? How does that reflect what I truly value? Okay, so we're gonna move on to our quote that says, be the kind of person you would look up to. You see, it says, be the kind of person you will look up to. So every one of us, we have people that we admire. So every one of us has people that we admire. I remember when we first, okay, it was the second class, that was last week, when we were discussing, one of us said, oh, I want to be like my mom, I want to be like my dad, right? So in that instance, she admires her dad, she admires her mom. Some of us, it could be our teacher, it could be a coach, it could be our older sibling. You want to be like your older sibling. Some of us, it could even be a superhero, right? So we admire them because of the good things that they do, right? So the people you admire is because of the good things that they do. And so maybe it could be that that person is kind, that person is brave, that person is honest, hardworking, or you feel they are helpful. That is why you admire them, right? And this quote is telling us that be the kind of person you would look up to. So if you admire your parents, right? If you admire your friends, or maybe your older sibling, or a particular superhero, why? Why do you admire them? First, you need to know, why do I admire them? Right? And you don't just, it's not only about you admiring them, right? Because of maybe the qualities they have, you know, you should also try to be like, to be able to do what, to be able to practice those qualities that you see in them. Say, for example, you see someone who is very good, like in leadership, right? So it's not about you saying, oh, I admire this person because of the way they lead, the way they carry themselves. How can those qualities you see in them, how can you also imbibe it? How can you begin to practice their leadership skill, right? Such that you are not just like them, but you are even better than them. That when they see you tomorrow, they'll say, wow, see brave Tiara, right? I love our leadership skill. That they as well can say, I want to be like you. Your friend in school can say, oh, I want to be like brave Tiara. I want to be like wise Joseph. I want to be like Excel Layer, right? I want to be like organized Kumi. Excellent Joseph, pardon me. I want to be like Flourish Fall. I want to be like King Paul. So how would you live? It's not enough to, love or admire the qualities that your parents have, but how can you begin, to work on yourself such that you begin to live those qualities, you live out those qualities, that you become someone that others can admire. Okay, such that you become someone that others can admire. So the goal with this quote, the goal with us identifying our values, is so that we can become people that others will look at and they'll say, I want to be like Wise David. I want to be like Brilliant Champion Israel. I want to be like Princess Deborah. I want to be like Boss Peniel. Right? So that is the entirety of this quote. Be the kind of person you would look up to. So if you're looking up to someone, how can you be that kind of person that others would also want to look up to? Right? Let me take, for example, Venus Williams or Serena Williams. We all know them as, oh, they are good at basketball, or Michael Jordan, right? So, you admire them, right? So, but what are those things about them that you admire? Oh, their soccer skill, their football skill, basketball skill, they are good at it, but what are they doing? They are practicing every time, they have their goals written down and they work towards their goals. So these are the things you want to look in them and begin to imbibe it, so that tomorrow when they see your name on the news, they will say, oh, I want to be like Wise David. I want to be like Brave Tiara, right? I want to be like Excel Lair. You understand? So that's why we are here. Be the kind of person you would look up to. Okay. So now, what are values? What are values? So values are the foundational principles that guide our decisions and our actions. Okay. They are like your inner compass. They help you choose what to do. Okay, if you want to write it down, they help you choose. My values help me choose what to do. They guide my decisions, they guide my actions. Okay, and they help you to decide what is right and what is wrong and how you want to behave. That's your value. Your value help you to decide what is right, what is wrong, and how you want to behave. Okay, so while your personal values, right? Remember, we just defined values. Now we're talking about personal values. Personal values are the things that you think they are really important. What do I think is important? Is it integrity, right? That's my yes being my yes. Is it honesty, telling the truth at all times? Even if my dad, my mom is going to beat me, I'm still going to tell the truth. Even if they would deny me of playing with Lego, I'm still going to tell the truth, right? So personal values are the things that you think are really important. They're like your personal rules for how you want to live. They reflect the standards of behavior you hold dear in your life. The standards and behavior that you hold dear in your life, and your values help you to decide what is the right thing to do in a situation. Say, for example, let's assume your value is kindness, and you see a friend, maybe someone, your classmate, right? They're sitting quietly, they don't have anyone to play with them. They don't have anyone to play with them. And then other friends are making fun of them and say, oh, look at him. He's just sitting quietly. Look at how he is. They're making fun of him. But for you, you know that everyone deserves to be treated fairly. Everyone deserves to be treated with kindness, right? One of your values is kindness. One of your values is respect. What you need to do is what? It helps you to know the right thing to do, right? Your values helps you to know the right thing to do, how to treat others, and what kind of person you want to be. So all you have to do is just what? You walk up to the person, remembering that, oh, my value is kindness, my value is respect. You walk up to the person and say, okay, you know what? Sorry that other people are making fun of you, right? And then you tell them, okay, I would love to play with you. And then you begin to play with them. That way, you have lived out your value. You've lived out your value because you made that friend, that classmate of yours, to feel comfortable. right? Or another example is maybe you were told to, maybe your teacher says, oh, everyone, or maybe mom says, oh, because you did, maybe you took what you were not supposed to take, right? They said, okay, no, you're not playing with Lego today. And then you decide to play with Lego, disobeying, and your parents say, okay, so the punishment for this is that you're going to do 50 push-ups, right? And then you have a friend around you, and the friend comes by and say, oh, excellent, Joseph, let's go play, right? And then you say, okay, you know what? Just let me do 30 push-ups and we're gonna go play. And then mom comes or dad comes and say, Joseph, are you done? And you're like, yes, mom, I did it. How many push-ups did you do? I did 50. Whereas you know that what? You did 30, right? So that tells you are not living your value. If you say honesty is your value, and yet you did 50 instead, you did 30 instead of 50, that shows you're not living your value, right? So your value, right? Even if your friend says, oh, let's go play, because honesty is your value, you will tell your friend, oh, sorry, I'm not going now. I have to complete this, right? Hear what my mom has to say. If she's okay for me to go play, then I will go with you. Then I will go practice soccer, right? So knowing your values help you to decide what the right thing to do is, even under peer pressure. You would tell your friends, sorry, I'm not lying. I'm not going to lie that I did 50 push-ups when I did 30, right? It helps you to know what kind of person you want to be. Do I want to be someone who is known for honesty? Do I want to be known as someone who is responsible, right? So everyone has their own value, right? And that is what makes you unique. Your value makes you unique. Okay, your value makes you unique. So let's look at some examples. We have respect. Respect means treating others the way you want to be treated, right? Treating others fairly. Kindness, being caring, you're helpful, and you're nice to others. Courage is another example of value. Being brave, even when something feels scary, right? And we have honesty, telling the truth, right? And being real about your feelings. If you feel sad, yes, let him know, oh, what you did, right? You tell your friend what you did. You took my pen and I'm not happy about it. Let him know, right? That's honesty. Being real about how you feel. I don't like what you did, right? And then your friend says, oh, I'm sorry. Because if you don't let your friend know that, oh, taking your pencil without permission makes you upset, they're going to do it over and over and over again. And that would make you what? That will make you keep getting angry and they'll keep hurting your feelings. But the moment you let them know, oh, one of my value is respect, right? Respect me, respect what I own, right? Don't just take my thing. Let me know before you take it, right? That would help your relationship with your friend, okay? And then responsibility, doing what you're supposed to do without being told. If you know you're playing, right, you're playing your Lego. Before mom says clean up, you know you have just 30 minutes to play. Set your timer. And after 30 minutes is up, clean it up. Pack up, right? Don't wait for mom or dad to start screaming, oh, organized, call me. Remember, you are organized, right? So be organized. Clean it up. Do your homework when you're supposed to do. Take responsibility. Do your assignment when you're supposed to do it. Submit your assignment when you're supposed to submit your assignment. Do your chores when you're supposed to do your chores. Lay your bed when you're supposed to lay your bed. Okay? So each of these values, they influence our choices, they influence our interactions. Okay? So when you understand your values, they help you make good choices. Remember, they help you make good choices. When peer pressure comes, you are able to say no. Like when your friend comes and say, let's go do the wrong thing that does not align with your values, you would say, no, this is my value. My value is being fair, right? Playing kindly with others, playing calmly, responsibility, honesty, telling the truth, right, is my values. So I'm going to live by my values. Okay, so now we're going to move on to our case study. I love this. So it's about Chanel and the missing marker. So Chanel loves art class. It's her favorite part of the school day. One afternoon, she arrives at her table and notices that a special pack of markers is missing. She looks around and sees another student, Leo, using markers that looks just like hers. Chanel feels angry at first. She thinks, those are mine? That's not fair. But then she stops to think. So now I want us to look at this. What happened right here? Who can tell me what happened right here with Chanel? What personal development skill did she show here? Anybody? Okay, Wives David?
She showed self-control.
Thank you. Thank you. So self-control, exactly. Right? Flourish, Fola.
She stopped to think.
Thank you. She stopped to think. Okay, Brave Tiara.
She remembers that she has to calm down.
Good job. You see? So that was what we talked about last week, right? Self-awareness. She knew herself. So she said, okay, I know I'm angry now. She understood the emotion that, oh, yeah, I'm angry, right? And she did what? She stopped and said, okay, let me think about it before I react, right? Is this really true? Is this my marker? So that I don't just act, right? So she calmed down. Thank you. So that was self-awareness. She was self-aware. She understood her emotions. She knew what she was supposed to do and how to manage it. Okay, so now let's move on. So Chanel remembers something important about herself. She says, oh, I believe in being honest and fair. One of my values is respect. I want to solve problems in a kind way. Then Chanel takes a deep breath and walks over to Leo. Instead of yelling, she says, hey, Leo, those look like my markers. Did you borrow them? It's okay if you did. I just want to understand. You see, instead, she could have just said, Leo, you took my marker. Why did you take it? But she spoke calmly because one of our values is what? Respect. You respect others, right? And she believes that it's okay. Like she wants to be honest. She believes that being honest and fair is a good thing. So instead of yelling, instead of speaking rudely, she came back. She said, don't look like my marker. She changed her tone, right? She changed her tone and said, those look like my markers. Did you borrow them? Right? So her values shaped the way she handled the situation, the way she spoke, right? And she said, oh, I just want to understand. It's okay if you took it, but just let me know. So tell me the truth, right? Which is honesty. And then Leo looks surprised and explains, oh, I thought they were the class markers. I didn't know they belonged to someone. I'm really sorry. Chanel smiles and says, it's all right. Next time, just ask. Leo returns the markers, and the two of them end up sitting together and drawing. Later, Chanel feels proud, not because she got her markers back, but because she acted in a way that matched her values. Can you see? So, assuming she spoke, she was yelling, it could have turned into a fight, right? But she decided to do what? To speak calmly, right? Soft tone, right? When you speak softly, calmly, right? Not speaking rudely, it helps the situation, right? You're able to solve the problem better. And that was what she did here. You see the way Leo responded, he as well responded calmly, right? If she had yelled, he too could have yelled. But he said, oh, I thought they were the class markers. I'm really sorry. He apologized, right? So she made a choice that fits her values, right? She could have shouted, which is very, very easy for her to do. But what? Working in line with her values helped her to grow in her character, you see, her confidence. And she even made a new friend because Leo became her friend, right? And they drew together. They sat together and they drew together. So that's what knowing your values can do for you. It helps you to be a good friend, helps you to be kind to others, people that someone can relate with. And remember our quote that says, be someone whom others want to be like, whom others want to look up to, right? That way she has laid an example for others to follow. Okay, so now we have categories of values. So that means what? We have different areas where we can have our values, that we can create our values. So we could have values for personal growth, right? And these values are about becoming a better you, right? You can have a value for your personal growth, and it's about becoming a better you. And this includes value like learning, curiosity, self-improvement, okay? So don't worry, in your assessment, I have a list of different values, right, that you would look through, and then you would tell me, you would choose the ones that really aligns to you, and that becomes your value. When you look at it, that way you are able to know your value, okay? So just listen up, and when your assessment comes, you'll be able to identify your values, and then next week you will tell me what your values are and how you're living by them, okay? So when we talk about personal growth, so they mean things like learning new things, asking questions, and trying to improve every day, right? So these are the driving forces for those who are always looking to better yourself. So if you want to be a better person, learning could be one of your values. Curiosity, you want to know everything, right? You want to know everything in detail. That could be one of your value, right? Trying again when something is hard, right? That's an example of personal growth values, right? Asking why. Why is it like that? Why did you do that? You know, why is the earth like this? You know, why? How did they create a sheep? I want to know more. So that's one value, curiosity. And practicing that self-improvement, practicing to become better at a skill like drawing, reading, and you know, your sport. Okay. So another category of value is achievement. Achievement. So these values are about setting goals and striving to achieve them through dedication and perseverance, right? And so these values include success, hard work, excellence. So it means you want to do your best and feel proud of what you accomplish. So one of your values could be success, studying hard for a test. You know that you are someone who loves being successful at whatever you want to do. So when a test is coming, you don't sleep the whole week and then wake up the next day trying to flip through your note. You know that for you to be successful, you have to study, right? So that is one value. It depends on you. If success is your value, right? Working hard on a project, trying your best, right? That's excellence. You don't want to see anything, you know, rough or, you know, not in perfect condition, right? So that could be one of your values. You could have an achievement value, right? And then relationship, right? This is a value about people you care about. It's a value about the people you care about and how you treat them, right? So this value focus on friendship, family, love, and community. They remind you to be a good friend. They remind you to be a good family member, a good classmate, and a good community helper, right? They are essential for helping us to build good relationships with others, and they make it easier to make friends and get along with people, okay, whereby everyone feels supported and they feel included. Just like the story of the lady, the classmate that I talked about that was sitting quietly, right? So you could make friends that way, help her feel comfortable around others, right? Supporting a friend who feels sad, helping your family members at home, playing fairly and including others. So lastly, our values, another category of value is contribution, whereby you help others, you make a difference. So this kind of value is about making the world a better place in your own small or big way. Maybe you see a death, right, in the community. You could decide to pick it up, maybe in your class, decide to pick it up and throw it in the trash can, right? Instead of just walking by it and say, oh, this looks dirty. I don't know who threw it on the floor, right? You could decide to volunteer, right? Maybe in a food bank where they are helping others, providing food for others, right? That's you contributing to your community in your own little way. It could be maybe going to plant a tree to make the environment look beautiful, right? And, you know, making beautiful the nature for everyone to be able to breathe well, right? So you could volunteer. You could do kind things to others. Just like the story from our assessment, Chevril, right? She helped a classmate to do what? To learn, to understand the assessments better, to understand science better, maths better. You could also do that. Volunteer to be a class helper, a peer helper in class, whereby you assist your teacher, even in church. You can volunteer as well to help your teachers in church. So that's you contributing to the environment, your community, right, in your own little way. Okay, so I would advise that you have values for each of these category. Your personal growth. Do you want to choose learning or curiosity? Right? Value in achievement, success, excellence, value in relationship, value in contribution. So each of these, I would advise you to choose a value from each of these, and then you do what? You live by it. Okay, so all these categories of value, they guide our actions and our decisions. And just like channels, right, our value guided the way she resolved the situation, the marker situation. Okay, so these are the categories of values we have. And so now I have a question for us. If someone says they value kindness, but they laugh when someone trips in the hallway, are they living their values? Yes or no? You can give me a thumbs up or thumbs down. Are they living their values? Good. Brilliant Champion says no.
No.
Good. No. Yes. So if you
No.
say, oh, good. No. Yes. So if you say you value kindness and then you're laughing at someone, you're making fun of someone who falls on the hallway, no, you're not living your values. So we want to live our values. If we say, oh, I value honesty, then I should be honest. If I say I value kindness, then I should be kind. Okay, if I say I value responsibility, then I should do my chores. I should lay my bed without being told or before being told. If I say I value organization, then I should ensure that my things are well organized. Not that my clothes is on one side, my socks is on the other side, my shoe is on the other side, and mom and dad will be the one picking your shoes, right? They pick your shoe, they pick your clothes, they pick your lunchbox. No, right? So when you organize, if say you value organization, then let that be what, leave it out. Reflect it in the way you do things, in the way you act. Okay. So why does value matter? Value matter because it helps you to become trustworthy and confident. When you follow your values, say for example, honesty, right, and kindness, people learn that they can trust you. And when you make good choices that match your belief, you feel proud of yourself, and this builds your confidence as well. So when you live by your values, others sees that you are someone who is reliable and you're authentic, right? Say you value honesty. You say the truth, you tell the truth. That shows that what you are reliable. If you say, oh, I will be with you at 10 a.m. Let that 10 a.m. be your 10 a.m. Don't start walking in around maybe 10:05 and yet you can't say I'm sorry. I'm sorry I came late. That's not good. Okay? If you value honesty, if you value punctuality, for example, ensure that you get to school early at 8:30, the latest. Right? Getting there 8:25 is good. Getting there 8:20 is good. But you coming in at 8:35, that means you're not living your value because school starts at 8:30 and then you're coming in at 8:35. Right? So when you live by your values, when you know your values, it helps you to become someone that is trustworthy and confident. Okay? Even if you say, oh, you're going to show up for your friend's birthday, if you know you can't go again, right? Just call your friend and say, oh, sorry, I won't be able to attend your birthday party anymore. Right? That shows you're reliable, right? That shows that you're someone that your friend can trust. Giving them a heads up and say, oh, sorry, I won't be able to come to your birthday party anymore. And this is the reason why, right? They would understand. But then it has shown that what you're reliable, right? So it guides how you treat your friends, your teachers, and your family, right? It shows how you treat your friends, your teachers, your family. It helps you to know how to treat, how to act, how to relate. Sharing, listening, helping someone, right? These are examples of values in line, right? It shows how you relate with your sibling. If you're kind to them, you won't fight, right? There won't be argument. Everyone will live at peace at home, right? So if you value, it's respect. You respect everyone's opinion. You won't bump when your brother is talking, you won't talk, right? You'll be calm. Let them, when they are done speaking, then you say something. And like we said, one of our values, we treat others with respect. You raise your hand. Let your brother, when your brother is done or your sister is done, then you speak, right? It guides how you treat. When you believe that everyone deserves to be treated with respect, this will guide the way you treat your friends, your teachers, and your family. And it helps you to make a good decision. It helps you to make a good decision. It helps you to choose a path that aligns with who you want to be. You want to be a doctor? It helps you to decide, okay, what are my values? One of your values could be success, curiosity, right? Because doctors will always do what? They will always conduct research. They keep learning. They never stop learning because every day innovations, every day new medicine, every day new disease, right? So it helps you to make a decision. Like telling the truth is another example. If your friend says, oh, let's lie, you would say no. My value is honesty. I'm not going to tell the teacher a lie. I'm going to tell the truth, right? It's going to help you to stay true, right, to what you believe is right. And it shapes your character. It shapes your character, like being kind, being respectful, being honest, being strong, right? And then lastly, it helps you to stand firm when others pressure you. It helps you instead of following the crowd. When you know your value of honesty, know your value of responsibility, right? You won't follow the crowd. When others are skipping classes, right, just to go play, or just to go do something else, you would say, no, I value learning. I choose to stay in class, to listen to what my teacher says. I choose to obey my parent that says, don't eat anything outside except on mom's permission, right? If you're giving something in school, say for example, breakfast club, bring it home, don't eat it, right? Even if your friends are eating it and they are saying, oh, excellent Excel, let's eat, let's eat, let's eat. At least they gave us in school, right? It's a pizza. Everyone is eating it. You say no. My mom has told me that whenever I'm given something in school, I should not eat it. And that's what I'm going to stick by. Okay, it helps you to stand firm when others pressure you. Okay, so how do you identify your values? How do you identify your values? First thing is notice what makes you feel proud. Think about times when you felt really good about something you did. Maybe you helped someone, you told the truth, you worked at, or you included a new student. Those proud moments shows your value. So it shows that you value helping. Say, for example, you helped a new student, right? It shows that you value helping, right? You told the truth. It shows that what? You value honesty, right? So notice what makes you feel proud. You can ask yourself, what was I doing at that time? Who was I with? What was important about that moment? That will help you to identify. That's one way to identify your value. Another way is pay attention to what makes you upset, right? Think about times when something doesn't feel right. For example, you see someone getting teased or watching someone cheat, and you feel uncomfortable, like, oh my God, why would this person cheat? You know, why would they be making fun of this person, teasing this person? So that shows you that what? You don't like anyone being treated unfairly. So that means you value kindness, you value respect, right? You love others being treated fairly. So that could be a pointer towards your value. The things that bother you, right? They often help you see what you care about deeply. For example, I don't like people being in pain, right? So that shows what? One of my values is caring. right? For example, I don't like when you're late to somewhere. I don't like being late. I feel bad about it, right? So that shows that one of the things I value is punctuality. That is me. Yours could be different from mine, right? So when you look at these things, you pay attention to what makes you feel upset, right? Is it that when you see someone not being treated well, oh, you feel bad? That could be a pointer to what you value, that, oh, respect is something you value. Another thing is think about what you expect from others. Ask yourself, what do I want in a friend? What do I appreciate at home? What makes a good teammate? So when you ask yourself, what do I really want in a friend? So when you see a friend that lies, right, and you value honesty, then is that person supposed to be your friend? No.
No.
Yes, no, that person won't be your friend because you value honesty. Because if the person that lies is your friend, before you know it, you begin to lie, right? So that's why you need to know your values. So they shape the kind of friends you interact with. They shape the kind of people you relate with, right? They shape the person you relate with. What do I want in a friend? What do I want in a person? What do I appreciate at home? What do I want to see in my classroom? Right? What makes a good teammate? Is it someone that is calm? Is it someone that speaks with respect? So the behaviors you want from others usually show the values you expect in yourself too. So if you say you don't like someone who lies, then don't be someone who lies. If you say you don't like someone who comes late, then don't be that someone who comes late, right? So think about what you expect from others. That shows your value. Then look at your everyday choices. Your values show up in the decision you make, like telling the truth, we've said, helping someone, working hard, playing fairly with others. So these choices you make again and again help you see what matters most to you. Then think about what you enjoy. Sometimes your favorite activities show your value. Maybe you love helping others. That shows that what you value helping. You value that shows you value helping others and you value kindness. Say you enjoy group activities, right? It shows that you value teamwork. You love getting on a project. That shows you value teamwork. You like trying new things, right? That shows you value curiosity. You are so curious. Okay, so what you enjoy can give you clues about your value. And ask yourself, lastly, ask yourself, what kind of person do I want to be? What kind of person do I want to be known for? Do I want to be honest? Do I want to be kind? Do I want to be brave? Do I want to be known as someone who tells the truth always? Do I want to be known as someone who does what they need to do at the right time? Right? Do I want to be known as someone who is smart, who excels in the academics? Do I want to be known as someone who plays fair? So this point towards your important values. Okay, so these are clues. First, notice what makes you feel proud. Pay attention to what makes you upset. Think about what you expect from others. Look at your everyday choices. Think about what you enjoy and ask yourself, what kind of person do I want to be? Remember from the beginning, we said that what? Be someone that others will want to look up to. If you admire someone, right, what qualities make you admire that person? And then how can you be that person as well that others admire, that others want to be like? Okay. And once you know your values, it is important that you ensure that your actions, remember, your actions reflect your value. Don't leave two faces in a single scenario. For example, like we said, you say, oh, you value responsibility, right? And then you are the one that you don't do your chores. You are the one that don't lay your bed. You are the one that don't do your homework and you value responsibility, right? That does not represent you well. That does not speak well about you. So ensure that when you know your value, say for example, honesty, live by it. Let everyone know that when they want to say, oh, what do you know about, let's say, for example, what do you know about Flourish Fola? Then they'll say, oh, I know Flourish Fola is honest. That if they ask 5, 10 people, they'll say honesty, honesty, honesty. That shows that what? You have been living your value. They say, oh, what do you know about King David? They say, oh, King David is responsible. If you give him a task, he's on point, he's going to do it. He would achieve it. Don't worry about it. He's going to do it. Right? And then they ask 5 to 10 people, they are able to do what? They are able to say the same thing about you. That is who we want to be. Okay? That is who we want to be. We want to live out our values. We want to be people that are trustworthy, are reliable, and they are authentic. Okay? So now we're going to review as we begin to wrap up. So remember the case study we talked about, right? I want you to give me your answers in the chat. Remember that case study where we talked about Chanel and the missing marker. So first question is, why did Chanel feel upset at the beginning of the story? She didn't like art class. She thought Leo took her markers without asking. Leo didn't want to sit with her. The teacher scolded her. What's your answer? Why did Chanel feel upset? So put your answer in the chat. Use the chat. Good. Thank you. B. Wise David, Brave Tiara. B. Yes. She thought Leo took her markers without being upset. Thank you. Excellent, Joseph. Thank you, brilliant champion Israel. So now to the next question. What was Chanel's first reaction when she saw Leo using her markers? Did she laugh? She wanted to shout at him. She ignored it. She immediately told the teacher. What was her reaction? Good, Brave Tiara. B, good job, King David. Good. Brilliant champion Israel. Good. B, she wanted to shout at him. Thank you, Flourish Fola, King David. Good job. Thank you. Excellent, Joseph. Thank you. So now, what personal value did Chanel remember before making a decision? Was it winning? Was it respect? Was it being the fastest? Was it getting perfect grades? Good. King David said B. She remembered that value was respect. Good job. Thank you. Flourish Fola. Wise David. Thank you. Excellent, Joseph. Thank you. So what did Chanel decide to do? Instead of yelling, what did she decide to do? Did she walk away? Did she tell all her friends? Calmly talk to Leo and ask about the markers? Good. It was C. Calmly talk to Leo and ask about the markers. Good job. Thank you. Thank you. Good. Why did Leo apologize? He knew he took the markers on purpose. He thought the markers belonged to Chanel's friend. He thought the markers were for everyone to use. He didn't like Chanel. Why? Why did he apologize? Great. Good. Thank you, Brave Tiara. Thank you, Wise David and Princess Deborah. Thank you, King David. Yes, he didn't know. He didn't know. He thought the markers were for everyone to use. Thank you. How did Chanel feel after solving the problem? Thank you, excellent Joseph. How did Chanel feel? Good. She was proud because she used her values. Great. She was proud. Yes, A. That's great. So what value did Chanel show by talking politely to Leo? Was it speed, respect, laziness, competition? Good. Thank you, King David. B. Respect. Thank you. Brilliant champion Israel and Bospeniel. B. Respect. Flourish Fola. B. Thank you. Excellent Joseph. Wise David and Princess Deborah. Great. What good thing happened at the end of the story? What good thing happened? What good thing happened at the end of the story? Good. They became friends. Chanel and Leo became better friends. That's correct. They became better friends. Excellent Joseph, King David, Brave Tiara, brilliant champion Israel and Bospeniel, Flourish Fola. Thank you. Yes, they became better friends. They became better friends. Wise David and Princess Deborah. Thank you. So in conclusion, values are what matters to you. Knowing your values helps you grow into the person you want to be, not just who others tells you to be. Remember, when you know your value, it helps you to be who you want to be. right? Not what others tells you to be. And when you know what matters to you, it's easier to choose wisely. You can choose wisely. So look at this tree now, right? Let's look at this tree. We can see this tree. It has a root, right? What's the root? The root are values. We say kindness, honesty, respect, and courage, right? And then the tree yielded what? It yielded fruit. And what are the fruit? The fruit are our actions, which is respecting others, helping, sharing, being honest, and doing your best, right? So when you understand your values, right? When you understand your value is like what is inside of you. The action is what other people see, right? So when you know that kindness is what you value, other people will see what? They will see you respecting others, you helping others, right? They will see you sharing with others. So remember, your values should equate your action. What you value should be equal to your action, okay? Your value should be equal to your action, okay? So let your value, what you value, determine the way you react, like we have learned, right? It determines the choices you make, determines the person you are, the way you handle a situation, okay? So I would want us to take our assessment, okay? When you get home, ask mommy and daddy and say, has my assessment been shared? I'm going to share your assessment. So take the time to go through your assessment. I know some of us has not done week 1, week 2 assessment. I want to encourage us. Ask mommy and daddy and say, mommy, daddy, I want to complete my assessment. You don't have to print it out. You can complete it on your computer. It's a PDF document. Just use your computer to complete it. Enter your answers, right? Type in your answers using your computer and tell mom and dad to help you upload it. Okay, and share your responses with me. I want to see your values. And next week we're going to talk about our values. So if you don't complete the assessment, you won't be able to identify your values, okay? Because I gave you a list of values that you can look through and then pick out the values that aligns to you. Okay, so next week, ensure you complete your assessment this week and come telling me what your values are. Okay, so now we're going to move on to our affirmation. Okay, as we wrap up the class. So now I want us to say together, I choose what is
what is
right.
right.
What
I
is right?
stand by my
I stand
values.
by
I
my
And I
stand
values
let
by
my
and
values
stand by my
guide
values,
and I let them guide my actions
and I
every
let
day.
them guide my actions every day.
So remember, choose what is right, okay? Stand by your values. Don't let anyone say, no, you have to do otherwise, walk against your values or act against your values, right? Stand by your values. If you value honesty, then choose to tell the truth, even when your friends are saying, let's not tell the truth. Okay, choose to be responsible if you value responsibility and let that guide your actions on a daily basis. Okay, thank you so much for joining the class today. Anyone has anything to tell me? Any question you have? Anything to say? Anyone?
No, ma.
No, all right. Thank you. And I'm gonna see you next week. Okay. Okay, Flourish Fola wants to say something.
Are we allowed to write the assignments down?
In your book? Yes, you can, but just try to scan it, right, and send it to me. Okay? Tell mom, dad to help you scan and send to me so that I can see it. Okay? Okay, all right, thank you. All right, so I'm going to see you all next week. Remember to live by your values, okay? All right, take care and enjoy the rest of your day. Bye.
Bye, ma.
Bye.
Bye, ma.
Bye.